Devin with the Cage Rage podcast, and UFC on ESPN Plus 4 is in the books. UFC Wichita has wrapped up, and in the main event, Junior Dos Santos took out Derrick Lewis in the second round. It was a very entertaining fight. My favorite moment was when Dos Santos landed the back kick to the gut of Lewis. Lewis was hurt, looked kind of like he played possum, waited for Dos Santos to come in, almost rocked him. Very cool highlight. And this was pretty predictable. It's what we predicted on the podcast. In my opinion, me and Miguel went 4-0 on our wage rage tonight because I think Ben Rothwell won that fight. But we had Rothwell, Nico Price, Zaleski, and JDS to win today. And in my opinion, those four people won. But when we look at this card, this was really good. And when we look at Dos Santos, Derrick Lewis I've had issues with because his fundamentals are just not there. He doesn't set up his strikes. He doesn't throw combinations. He doesn't throw to the body. He doesn't move well. He's flat-footed. He loads up on all of his strikes. He's got big power, but against somebody who's as good of a striker as Junior, it just isn't going to work, and it didn't work against Mark Hunt. And it wasn't working against Alexander Volkov either until he caught him in the third. But Junior has really having like a late resurgence. Junior was a dominant guy in the UFC when he won the title from Cain Velasquez, his rise up the ranks when he beat up Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson, Gabriel Gonzaga, defended his belt against Frank Mir, and then he had those two brutal defeats to Cain Velasquez, which were just two absolutely battering losses. Then he had his war with Stipe Miocic in the first fight that he won, was knocked out by Overeem, beat Rothwell, and then lost the Stipe rematch when he just looked like a shell of his former self in that fight. I mean, Stipe just ran through him and looked like there was zero resistance, and I don't think the Junior tonight would have fought that bad. And since then, he's went on a 3-fight win streak, and he's looking like the Junior of old. He looked motivated. He looked confident. He's firing on all cylinders again, and maybe he just needed some recovery. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but Junior looks a lot better. And this is now Derrick Lewis's second loss in a row since he got the famous come-from-behind win over Alexander Volkov and then lost the title fight to Daniel Cormier a few months later and then just now lost to Junior Dos Santos. When we look at these heavyweight rankings, you got Daniel Cormier sitting up at the top, but he's talking about retiring. And then you got Stipe at number 1, former champion. You got Francis Ngannou at number 2, and then you have Derrick Lewis, who was at number 3. So Junior came in at this fight at number 8, and you can almost bet he's going to jump. And I think we might see Junior and Ngannou next, or maybe a trilogy fight with Junior and Stipe. And Junior's probably one fight away from a potential title fight. And I don't think anybody would have really predicted that after the second Stipe fight. But that's what I actually want to see. I would really like to see the trilogy with Stipe, because that didn't look like Junior in the second fight. And anybody who's got a Fight Pass subscription should go watch that fight. The way Stipe just ran through him in a couple of minutes. It didn't even look anything like that. Compare that to their first fight, and then compare that to the Junior that we saw fight tonight and fight Tai Tuivasa in his last fight. Junior looks like he's back, and he looks great, and he is the man of the night. Him and Elijah Zaleski are the two big stars of the night, and Nico Price also is right there, but they're the two contenders that are coming out of this, and it's crazy that I'm calling Junior that after all these years, but he looked really good tonight, and he did exactly what I thought he would do. But I hope you've enjoyed my coverage. We'll be doing it every week.